What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here for the Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys, Week 11. Absolute dominance from AC's Eagles over Dilly Vanilli's Cowboys. We have a lot to discuss here. Dylan is going to try and put his sunglasses on so he does not cry live on air, and you can't actually see him cry. Well, he's talking. But we're going to just give it to AC right off the bat, and we're just going to get his live reactions to this absolute smackdown of a performance by the Eagles on their rival.
Yeah, let's start from the beginning. They get that long kickoff return, and everyone's hype in Dallas, and the offense goes 3-0. They give up the field goal there. And then the Eagles go down and score, and things are looking good. At that point, I thought the score could have been what it ended up being. But obviously, I'll give credit to Dallas's defense. They did well in coverage. It's not like their pass rush that we hear so much about, because that was non-existent the entire game. And I'm going to be a little more vocal against the Cowboys. It's because this is a division rival. And with this win, we just put Dallas into their grave. We put a division rival and put them down, sat them down, and ended their season in one Sunday Night Football in Jerry's World dominant performance. That first half, though, I'll have to say, I'll give credit to Dallas's defense against that offense. We couldn't get it going, but I do think play calling had more to do with that. We threw a lot on first down, and when you do that and it's incomplete pass, you have to throw again. So we had some 3rd and 10 situations that just it looked like Wentz was a little off. I think maybe the bye week had something to do with it. So I was legitimately scared, because what I've always said, the team that's going to beat the Philadelphia Eagles is the team that's going to shut down the offense. But what I also said is that defense is good. That defense is not going to lose us games. And it showed in that first half. Even though the momentum seemed to be on Dallas, there were a couple times where Dallas goes into the red zone and only comes up with field goals twice. So I think that was huge. And then, getting pressure. And then in the second half, it was a completely different Eagles team. We could run the ball. Wentz started to do his thing. It probably wasn't his best game, but he still started to do his thing. Those 2 throws to Torrey Smith and Alshon Jeffrey for the touchdowns. Yes, great catches, but great throws, because those were the only place probably those guys could catch that, and made great catches. And then the run game, we got everything going. Blunt was going off. Ajayi with the big run. Corey Clement, an undrafted running back, as a rookie, has been a huge part of this offense. Kenyon Barner got a touchdown in the first series. Everything was going well in this game in the second half, and Dallas couldn't do anything. I think on paper, for the last couple weeks, the Eagles' stats, defensive stats, don't do them justice. But I think the whole world on national TV saw how good this Philadelphia Eagles defense is against the Dallas Cowboys today. 3 picks, 4 interceptions. Dak only had 75 yards until like the garbage time yards that he got. Dez couldn't do anything. Yeah, Alfred Morris had some push, which I thought they could have done more, but he only had one big run. So I'll leave it at that for now, because we got a lot to talk about. But a huge, huge statement win for the Eagles. I know people are going to say, well, Dallas guys, they were injured. But still, you go into Sunday Night Football against a division rival, against a team that was 13-3 last year, regardless who they're missing. That's a huge win. And, this game could have been close if Dallas's offense could do something, but they couldn't. And it's a blowout statement win. Dallas is over, and the Eagles are the new cream of the crop of the NFC East.
Let me start off by saying this. The Cowboys have been outscored in the second half in the last 2 games, 47-0. Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys, without Zeke Elliott and T. Smith, have scored 16 points in the last 2 games. I think there are some big issues, and I think it starts with their coach. We have the clapper, all right? The clapper, he was clapping even when they were losing. The guy doesn't know how to coach a team that's not already built for him to have success. He can't just simply say, hey, I'm going to give the ball to Zeke 25 times and we're going to win this game. You actually have to game plan and try and get your guys open. You're telling me that as much blame as we put on Dak and Dez, and Witten and Beasley and Williams. Can this guy not try and get these guys open? Not try to make a game plan that would help his team? Last week against the Falcons, he has Adrian Claiborne, a guy that has one pass rushing move, get 6 sacks. And this week he gets blown the F out in the second half. No halftime adjustments. They go in there, they got swagger, and they get blown the fuck right out of their own building. How does that even happen?
You know what? I'll quickly about that swagger too. When Jake Elliott missed the field goal, I think after a Dak pick, after Dak's first pick, I've never seen a team so stoked about a missed field goal in my life. It to me at first it looked like confidence, and it looked like they wanted it more in that first half, and then it just was false. It was all fake confidence. Like they were like Dez was trash talking after a 4-yard little hitch pattern. Dak was going nuts and yapping, but who got the last laugh? The Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, like this game was really weird in the first half. Like obviously the Eagles didn't play their best, and AC said some of the reasons maybe why, but it seemed like the Cowboys defense was obviously keeping them in the game. And I agree, like they had really good coverage. I thought their D-line was not good with the pass rush, but I thought they were really good in the run game. Specifically, Lawrence was really good against Lane Johnson in the first half. But they can't hold up. Like just the Eagles kind of made some adjustments. They got a couple big plays on defense. That first drive of the second half really was huge for the Eagles because they were able to get momentum. It forced the Cowboys kind of to come from behind where they're uncomfortable, and it forced the Cowboys to do some things that they didn't really want to do, and they didn't want to play in that situation. So, I don't know what it is with the Cowboys in the second half. I don't know what it is with Jason Garrett. I don't know what it is with Dez and Dak. I really think that, yes, the defense gave up some points in this game, but that's the least of your worries, to be honest. I think the Cowboys offense has been absolutely dreadful without 2 of their top players. But I want to hear from the Cowboys fan himself, Dilly Vanilli, who's wearing his sunglasses. Let's hear what he's got to say.
All right, so first off, I want to point out something, okay? I'm having a good day. I'm having a nice day to myself. I'm looking to see if I had a hole. I'm having a nice day for myself to start off. We're doing this live stream for the Vikings-Rams game. I enjoyed it. Got some nice subscribers. We got over 40 subscribers to that, so thank you guys for watching that stream. And then a nice time going out and chilling by myself with somebody. I had to come back here, and, first half, it's looking decent, promising enough. Cowboys are making good defense, but one thing I was already concerned with coming in and seeing in the first half was ineffectiveness in the red zone, as AC pointed out. Not a way to score, not getting ways to get in the end zone. And sometimes field goals are okay, but with what the Cowboys have been doing the last 2 weeks, it's not something I want to see. We go into halftime, 9-7 lead, not the biggest of confidence, but at least something there to be like, well, at least you have a chance. And then a second half disaster on all fronts. Couldn't stop the run game. That's how Jai got one of the biggest rushes. I think it's his longest carry of his career, was it, in this that long rush? Carson Wentz could not be tackled or could not be sacked. He made plays. He made extensions, especially on third down, that got them the first down, got them confidence, and got them scores. The first half, they got the first drive for a touchdown and then weren't able to score the rest of the way in the first half. And then they scored on the first 4 drives of the second half. It's bad. It's terrible. It's very, very, what is this saying? Terrible, very good, not very good, bad day, pretty much. Tyron Smith needs to get healthy as soon as possible. Byron Bell did play better than Chaz Green, but that's comparing shit to less shit. So the more you know, the better. Dak played awful.
Okay, Dylan. The Patriots had their 3rd string right tackle versus Khalil Mack today.
I'm saying we need Tyron Smith back because he's the only option we have at left tackle.
Yeah, but why can't your coach help him?
Because our coach is fucking awful. Our coach is a fucking idiot. Oh, let's clap along. Here you go, guys. We got to play. And then when we actually don't have something going, oh, well, I wonder why this isn't working. This should be set up from the beginning. Wow, I didn't expect that. It's dumb. I don't like Jason Garrett. All he does is a stand-up man for Jerry Jones. He does nothing. He doesn't create any excitement. When you're going into halftime with the 9-7 lead, your goal is A, let's please get in the end zone, and B, get the intensity up, get some energy, because when you go out there with the second half, which, by the way, Dallas has done really, really bad this season. They blew leads against the Packers and the Rams early on in the season in the second half. And plus the Falcons game, it just went past in the second half. So you got to see something out of the Cowboys going to the second half, and they did nothing. They had no excitement to them whatsoever. Sean Lee was out, but it wasn't that big of a factor until the second half, where everything just blew apart. No defensive pressure to get on Carson Wentz. The few times you get on Carson Wentz, the linebackers or the corners cannot get whoever receiver they're supposed to cover, so they get a first down. The rushing game was decent. Alfred Morris almost had 100 yards. That's good, but there's so many problems all the way through the rest of the system. Dak played a terrible game. A terrible game. At least with Wentz in the second half, he got better. He didn't have a very good first half. I think it was, 7 of 20 or something like that. It was not a good first half. The second half, he went out there, they made adjustments, which I think is a key. They went out there, they saw exactly what was given from the Cowboys the first half and responded. And the Cowboys just said, well, fuck it. We're not going to respond, which is dumb. Doesn't make any sense. You're in your home stadium, Sunday Night Football, division rival, big game on the line where if you win this game, not only do you gain confidence, you have a better chance to win the wild card, and you give this pitiful second half performance. Dak, what the fuck was this? 18 of 31, 145 yards, which as AC brought up, I think 50 of those yards were probably in garbage time on that last drive. 3 interceptions and a fumble. No touchdowns. He hasn't thrown a touchdown in 3 weeks.
And all the interceptions were terrible too. Like it wasn't like a tip or like a deflection. Like
they were rookie interceptions. Like they were like you're trying to make something happen instead of just like let's just go down and punt the ball. And can I just say one thing about the goal line? Is it seems to me like do they still just have the same check where it's just like let's just throw it up to Dez every single time?
Yes,
when it's like
that's what it seems like to me. Like, I don't get it because you have Cole Beasley, you should easily be throwing inside too. You have Jason Witten, who was the reliable target for Tony Romo in the red zone for most of his career. And now it's all of a sudden it's just, okay, we got to get a Dez ball right to him. Let's see if he can jump for it. And
I just feel like it's funny because like all the best teams in the league rarely do that.
Well, and
you know what I mean? When was the last time the Patriots are just like, let's go one-on-one?
They only do it with Gronk.
Well, and only
no, I understand that. I'm just saying, but like it's super rare, right? Like,
yeah,
the Eagles have been going away from doing that. They did it a bit. They do it a bit with Jeffrey here and there, but mostly they'll try to find something like a slant or a post, something like that. Not one-on-one corner of the end zone.
You never see it that many times with anybody other team. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I agree with you. When Dez Bryant has 8 catches and he has 14 targets, you know there's something wrong. Why is there 14 targets and most of those can't come off for catches?
I think with the Dallas Cowboys though, they should have been trying to utilize. I know they don't have Zeke, but the run game was successful today. I don't know why they weren't utilizing Dak's legs a little bit more in the red zone, like maybe doing some read options or like quarterback boots or something.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so think about this. We're in the second half. There's 2 drives in particular. I believe it was the first 2 drives of the second half for the Cowboys, where Alfred Morris gets a nice couple of.
But let's be honest, they weren't in the red zone very much, so we can't really like.
In the first half, and they couldn't score.
What I'm trying to say is that in the second half, Alfred Morris gets a couple of good runs to start off the drive. You know, you're in decent field position, you get an even better field position. Then you go to a run on first down of one of those drives, get stopped, and then you just throw short passes to Cole Beasley on the outside for 1 yard, and then it's to Dez every fucking third down. No Jason Witten. Jason Witten had 1 catch for 7 yards. I know he's getting old. I know he's not supposed to be the number 1 reliable receiver, but he is a tight end that's been with the Cowboys since 2003, and he is a leader. Dez Bryant is not a leader on this organization. Just quit throwing it to Dez. He's not your only option. He's not the only receiver out there. Terrence Williams has had 1 successful game all season. Cole Beasley has been as inconsistent as anybody else on the roster. Bryce Butler, who needs to be used more often, gets 2 catches for 19 yards. Why? Because Jason Garrett is a fucking moron. And then there's nothing there. You just des. And what does it do? Lose. And then the defense couldn't tackle my grandma. It was awful in the second half. And
yeah, but the defense was the reason why you were in the game.
Yeah, but and I'm talking about the second half, Mitch. I'm talking about the production in the second half.
Like, is your offense going to score a point?
No,
I remember
you keep throwing the Dez, you won't score shit.
But Dylan, this team was built off their offense last year. This is the reason why they were winning games. This is the reason why they were winning this year, was their offense.
Yeah, but if you're going to have a position where you're in this opportunity, get some stops.
You know what this actually reminds me of? It reminds me of the Giants without Odell.
I don't know what comparison.
They seem incompetent without Zeke.
And what I'll say is too about like those running yardages, the Eagles were not gonna let Prescott on the run. Schwartz did a lot of different things to make sure that we'll give you a big run here and there, but we know you're not going to be able to run the ball down our throats. Yes, they looked good at times, but if you look at some of the pressures they did, it was all to keep Dak around and not let Dak on the run. They barely
Which is what they should do.
Which they should do, right? There was one time, I think it was like 3rd and 13 or something, but they just had their D tackles rush for about like 4 or 5 seconds and then had their ends come in like 4 seconds later. It was like amazing. And he didn't know what to do. So there's ways to get Dak flustered. I think that what we're seeing right now. And I think the talk that Dak's elite quarterback has to get put on the back burner because we're seeing he's not elite without another player, without a run game.
I think there were, I don't know. I was obviously, I bet on this game quite a bit in this game. I was a little worried about the Eagles offense in the first half. Carson Wentz did not look like himself. I don't know what it really was,
but I know, I totally agree. I think it was a little play calling. I think because a couple drop passes that I think got in Carson's head, but at the end of the day, the Eagles are, again, a team that has never had a complete stinker because that was looking like it was going to be an Eagles stinker. And in the second half, it's tough to judge the Eagles offense on that second half because they score in 3 straight possessions in the second and their offense looks awesome. And Wentz was making throws and getting away. So I know that would be scary to people. And I know a lot of people that want to doubt the Eagles will be like, look what they did in the first half. But you got to think, look what they did in the second half. Like, look how they finished. And I think now that's huge for them because now people were talking about, a lot of slow starts with the bye week. I think that had something to do with it. But now you go and win. I think now we go into Chicago with the same confidence because I think we lack confidence in that first half. And all of a sudden in the second half, you're like, this is what we do. This is what we've done all season. And now we're back. And now the bye week's in the past and we're rolling again.
No, but I think you're 100% right. When I was watching that first half, I think I was thinking about, okay, what are the teams in the NFC that could really do this to the Eagles? And I was like, right away, it was the Vikings. So I feel like the Vikings are that team that could push the Eagles.
No, for sure. And I've said that, and you guys want to,
too.
And I've always said that the Vikings, for me, in my power rankings in the NFC. No, I'd put the Saints, but I'm saying, even we were talking the last 3 weeks when the Saints have been getting better, and Vikings haven't had, didn't have a quality win, but they were still winning games. I've always said Vikings. I think Vikings are a great team, a complete team. And I think with Keenum that I've just always been scared of them. We'll see. But I just think with the Eagles, it's like they're doing every single thing well right now.
For sure. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just my observations of the game, just taking away from what the Cowboys were able to do at some points. And then the Eagles, like a good team does, they responded, they adjusted, and they played a great half. So,
well, and like I said, I thought the team that's going to beat the Eagles is a team that's going to be able to shut down the offense for 60 minutes, not just a half, because I'm such a big believer in that defense more than the offense now. I like them both, but I'm all in what that defense is doing. Because I think a lot of people really got to watch a full 60-minute game of the Eagles defense that maybe a lot of people haven't been able to watch that defense. But that defense is very talented, especially we've always had problems in the secondary. Darby comes in after being injured for 10 weeks. has 8 tackles, gets the interception, does quite well. Jenkins is going everywhere. I just think it's that the defense is the key, and I think the defense can shut down a lot of good offenses.
But having Darby back is a huge factor. We were talking about that earlier on in the season, that one of the key things that was keeping back this defense was the cornerback help. And now you got Darby back, who's healthy and ready to go. That's going to be a key thing for them.
All right. Let's get into some stats here. Looking at the quarterbacks, obviously we kind of already talked about them, but for the winning team, 14 of 27 for Carson Wentz, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns, still a 96 passer rating. Not his best day by a long shot, but he got it done in the second half. And I think some of the big plays that Carson Wentz made, were on, like he's been doing all year, were on third down, and he was escaping pressure and making some plays. And in this game were also 2-point conversions, which for whatever reason, the Dallas Cowboys could not stop the 2-point conversions, and also on fourth down because they weren't relying on their kicker to kick field goals. And I guess it sort of worked out for the Eagles in a weird way that they just kept converting on fourth down when regularly they would just take field goals. So, I think you got to credit the offense and Carson Wentz for getting it done on those downs without their kicker to move the chains and to score on those plays.
What happened to their kicker? I wasn't here when
he got it the very first kickoff when what's his name Switzer ran 59 yards or whatever. He helmet to helmet tackled him to push him out of bounds. He then kicked a PAT and then missed a really short field goal, and then the spotters came and did that. The one thing I'll say is they actually only had to go for fourth down once, and it was actually pretty key because at that point it was a 14-point game. Remember? And that was to Alshon Jeffrey. But yeah, because if you don't get that without a field goal kick, you give the ball back and that's still a 2-score game. Instead, Jeffrey makes an unbelievable catch. And the ball was put exactly where it needed to be. And then that changed that was kind of the game over scenario right there.
Mm-hmm.
And for Dak Prescott, 18 for 31. I'll get to you, Dylan. 145 yards, 4.7 yards per completion. That's terrible. And 3 interceptions, 4 sacks, 30.4 passer rating. So, yeah, I thought we wouldn't see a performance that was close to Peterman today, but Dak was pretty close.
As I talked about in the pre-ramble, Prescott was fucking atrocious in this game. 18 of 31 doesn't look terrible. But when your completion average for yards is 4.7, there's a problem. 145 yards, and I think most of those, probably at least 40 to 50 of those yards, came on that last drive, which again ended up in an interception in the end zone. 4 sacks, kind of concerning, especially after last week. 3 interceptions. All of them, as I saw every one of them in terms of on Twitter and whatnot. Terrible. Just the worst thing ever. And I didn't think we could get close to Peterman's stats. It was pretty fucking close. For Carson Wentz, didn't think he played his greatest game ever. But 2 things he did very effective was third down conversions and not getting sacked. And hey, if you're going to get those done, you're most likely going to win games. He didn't get sacked a single time by this defensive line, which is a very impressive defensive line. It has one of the top 5 rankings in sacks coming into this game. So the fact that Carson Wentz was able to get out of there, either A, throw it out of the pocket so he doesn't get sacked, or B, making big throws on third down to Alshon Jeffrey, to Zach Ertz, it was critical for them. And you got to give the man credit when it's due. Not a very hot first half, but a very efficient second half to get them the victory. And that those games are always going to come during the season when you have to play in those kind of stretches, make plays, third or fourth quarter to get this team the win, and Carson was able to do that.
Okay. The rushing attack for both teams. Jay Ajayi in his second game with the Eagles took a little bye week to get prepped, 7 carries, 91 yards. But the primary ball carrier here, and that came on a 71-yard run, which you guys said is the longest of his career. Otherwise, he was okay, but he had that one really long run, which was a nice run. LeGarrette Blount, 13 carries, 57 yards, 4.4 yards per carry. A lot of that LeGarrette Blount does his job. He comes in at the end of the game. He powers away. Classic LeGarrette Blount. Corey Clement, also 6 carries, 50 yards, 8.3 yards per carry, and a touchdown. And Carson Wentz had also 6 carries for 13 yards. And for Dallas, Alfred Morris did have his best game so far as a starter for the Cowboys. 17 carries, 91 yards, 5.4 yards per carry. I thought Morris looked pretty good in this game. He showed some burst there, dilly vanilly. So I guess there is at least one positive from this game, that the run game got going a little bit. But sometimes, I don't like to say this, but I've realized this with my own team, that sometimes that's almost on purpose. That teams kind of allow teams to get going on the ground because they are focused on stopping the passing game and stuff, and they have the
bootleg,
or the quarterback. So yeah, it was really good, and I thought that it was effective in the first half, but I don't understand why they got away from that so fast. I think they might have gotten away from that a little bit too quick in this game. Because Morris was running pretty strong, but for the Eagles, overall was good. What did you guys think?
Well, the one thing about Morris was, yes, he got some runs, but he didn't really make the big runs when they needed it. There were a couple of times where they tried to run the ball on 3rd down and were stopped. And there were a lot of no-gain situations. Yes, he had, I think, 3, probably 10 or plus more yards, which that's 30 yards right there. There were a time that they had to go away from it because they needed to pass, because I guess they weren't okay with trying to just bring up 3rd down a lot, because obviously they really couldn't bring up 3rd down because they were 3 and I think 15 on something like that. What was the exact number? It was 3rd down, 3 and for 14 on 3rd downs. So
it's dreadful.
And the thing is, they were 3 for 3 on that final drive that got a field goal with the end of the first half. So besides one drive, they did not get 1 3rd down. I wasn't Morris looked good, but I just think the Eagles were kind of giving that to him because they didn't want Dak to get loose, and they were more looking at Dak. For the Eagles run game, it's really clicking, especially out of the shotgun. Jay Ajayi's big run. Corey Clement, I can't say this enough, undrafted rookie this year. He's a rookie this year, and he wasn't even drafted, and he's been huge, even in fantasy. If you have him in your fantasy team, for Corey Clement, he's probably ranked the 40th running back in the league right now, probably 45, 50. I don't even know, something super high. And look how he's producing. The one thing I will say that's a little negative towards the Eagles is I want to see Jay Ajayi run more. There are a couple times where I think I agree with that. I think we should go to Ajayi instead of Blount, especially on 1st down runs. Nothing against Blount, but just in the runs I've seen, Ajayi seems to be able to break loose after first contact this season better than Blount. Blount in the open field against a DB, yeah, he's going to win that battle every time. I just think Jay Ajayi's run goes up the middle, breaks a tackle, and then keeps going, where I think a lot of times this season, Blount gets wrapped up and just stops. Blount is still a huge key part of this game, especially in this second half of this whole season. He's been huge. I just would like to see Ajayi get some of those carries that Blount's been getting.
I agree with you. I think he didn't get enough touches. I was surprised that he only had 7 carries in this game, but I think they're trying to distribute it well, and they are, but I also think they're trying to kind of give him a little bit of time. Maybe they have certain runs where he's he knows these runs really well, and maybe he's not exactly familiar with the total system and all the runs. So sometimes that happens. I don't really know the situation, but he definitely does seem like their best runner.
Yeah.
But I agree. Clement has kind of given them a little bit as well in the passing game a little bit too, which they really need, because without Darren Sproles, I think Collinsworth also brought this up, is they are missing that piece of their offense. And I think if they kind of get a little bit of that, they'll be even more explosive, because we see how big the 3rd down and pass catching back in this league is right now. Look at, Patriots and Saints, those players. So,
rushing game for the Eagles. I thought, like you guys said, it was kind of surprising to see Ajayi only get 7 carries. Had that one long rush, very nice rush. But The Eagles were able to get it done, 215 rushing yards total with 5 different guys. So that's the key word, is effective right there. So
and that's what really kickstarted their offense in the second half, was they were able to run the ball.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they get first couple runs of like 12 yards and then get to 8, so it's an easy second down for them to get the 2 yards, and they keep it going, and it made it. I mean, obviously it worked. Ajayi had nice runs. LeGarrette Blount had some good stuff. Corey Clement, as you said, I've liked what he's brought to the table, especially as an undrafted rookie. So if anything, I would like to see from the Eagles going forward is the rushing attack, and they've done very, very well on that. As for the Cowboys, I like what I saw out of Alfred Morris. If there's anything that could be positive, it was the fact that Alfred Morris was able to run at certain points, and I think he'll be doing good throughout the course of the year or the next couple games. They didn't really use Rod Smith in this game. 8 carries, 11 yards, and Darren McFadden was a healthy scratch. But it looks like Alfred Morris is going to be the primary running back for the next 4 games. And hopefully he keeps doing something like this, gets a little bit more, maybe a couple passes here and there. You never know. But decent running game from him. I want to see what he gets next game.
And for the receivers, the Eagles, Alshon Jeffrey led the way with only 3 catches and 50 yards on 6 targets. Torrey Smith, 3 catches, 28 yards, and a touchdown. Nice touchdown catch over the middle between 2 guys. It's a tough catch. Brent Selleck, 1 catch for 28 yards. Barner, also another running back, catch and 22 yards. Ajayi, 1 catch, 10 yards. Zach Ertz, probably his worst game of the season, 2 catches, 8 yards. And Mac Hollins as well, 1 catch, 7 yards. Dez Bryant got a lot of garbage time yards for the Cowboys. 8 catches, 63 yards on 14 targets. Terrence Williams, 4 catches, 35 yards on 6 targets. Bryce Butler, 2 catches, 19 yards on 2 targets. Noah Brown, 1 for 14 on 1 target. And Jason Witten, 1 for 7 on 1 target. And also Cole Beasley with 2 catches for 7 yards on 4 targets. Okay. I thought this is where the Eagles in the first half, this is where they struggled, was they weren't really able to get open. I thought their receivers kind of struggled to get open. I thought Jeffrey was having a tough time early on. Torrey Smith is kind of just a here and there sort of player, so that's kind of expected. And once they started to run the ball in that second half, they were running those play actions. They were hitting Brent Selleck and Zach Ertz and Torrey Smith. And then it started to get going for Carson Wentz. But again, the passing game wasn't great in this game. But overall, they did make some big plays when they needed to. And for Dallas, this was just, it was bad. Like, nobody was open. Dez made a couple plays. But besides that, I mean, nobody made any consistent plays for them in the passing game. And please, Collinsworth, stop comparing Cole Beasley to Julian Edelman. They are not even close to the same player, and they don't even play the same.
This is a guy who...
Stop.
I heard that at least 3 different times.
You know, and to be honest, I think their best skill possession player was Switzer. I don't know why they don't have Switzer in their offense.
I don't either.
Because Switzer is like, there was a couple times on the kick return, like, yeah, he might not have been obviously had the big return, but he has some moves. Like, he's a bet. I think you put him in Beasley, and he'll at least make a little something more happen than Beasley. Because I think Beasley's a guy that he's not Edelman, because Edelman has been doing it for 6 years. Beasley has done it for 1 year, and I think now you're looking at Beasley's the type of guy that is probably going to be out of the league in 2-3 years. Easy. Maybe even
I don't know about that one. But what I thought the reason we drafted Switzer was to replace Cole. Like, I thought that's exactly what they were doing. And now that they just do him on kick return, and he's a great kick returner, but
yeah, he's not bad.
Why not use him at the receiver position? It's kind of dumbfounding, considering how his success in North Carolina was. Yeah, for the receivers, for the Eagles, I like some of the receivers. I do want to thank Nelson Aguilar for not hurting my fantasy team, though. I will say that. That if there's one bonus in there. Jeffrey had a very good catch. That catch right near the end zone to pretty much put the game away was very solid. This receiving core has been honestly quite underrated. I mean, we've always talked about how Alshon Jeffrey coming into the year was going to be the hot commodity, somebody we're going to look at. He's putting on a stride the last couple of games, but then you got Torrey Smith, who's been in the league for the last couple of seasons, playing well. Zach Ertz had his worst game by far this season with this one.
I wonder
2
if he's
catches
still
for 8
hurt.
yards. He might be.
But I will say this: Byron Jones did a really good job. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, I like Byron Jones.
No, and the thing with this Eagles team is we've seen it. Like if you look at all their receiver stats, it's nowhere compares to other. They spread the ball around. Everyone gets touches. Similar to like if you looked at the Patriots receiving yardages compared to other teams, you know what I mean? But there's more guys on that list. You know what I mean? I would think like a lot of guys get touches, especially in this offense. And it's not really about that one receiver. It's going to be
no. That's why I'm saying that. That's why I'm saying they're underrated because they got a good group of guys there that on most other teams they might be putting up some pretty good stat lines, but in this system, all Carson Wentz has got to do is make the play, and the receivers are like, well, I mean, I don't really care about the yards as long as I get the first down. So, I like the group. I like the core there for the Cowboys. Can we stop throwing to Dez? I understand that we put this earlier on in the season.
Times, like holy crap.
I understand earlier in the year that we said that we need Dak and Dez to get on the same page. That doesn't mean you need to throw to the ball 14 times to the man and get 8 catches. And they weren't even long completions either. You would think if you were going to throw it 14 times, these would be completions 20 yards down the field. Nice throws, good stuff. It's 8 catches for 63 yards. It's not even 8 yards a catch. Like, why? Spread the like you said, AC. Spread the ball a little bit more. Terrence Williams had one really great game. I believe it was 2 weeks ago, not against Atlanta, but the week before that, and that's what it was successful. It was successful having Terrence Williams have a really good game. It was against Kansas City. That was the game. He had a really nice game against Kansas City. They got him to spread the ball around, and then 4 catches for 35 yards. It's also to the fact that the defense for the Eagles was very good, but when I see a stat line of somebody getting thrown 14 times, you get 8 catches. I'm not happy about that. The rest of our guys, other than Terrence and Dez, had 2 catches or less. Bryce Butler had 2 catches for 19 yards, who is a deep threat, but should be used more often in different packages. Noah Brown had a catch, who I like, but, I mean, Jason Witten has been the biggest disappointment for this offense, or one of the biggest disappointments. 1 catch, 7 yards.
What do you expect? He's like 100.
He should be at least targeted more. He had 1 catch.
Run.
He had 1 catch.
No, but it's like, but it's now you can almost put your slowest linebacker on him and just cover him man to man.
He's not even like Martellus Bennett at this point.
All Jason Witten needs to do is get 5 yards in. You would think Dak would attack it at least a couple of times. He gets 1
He's like
catch.
Mercedes Lewis at this point.
I don't care if he's old and slow. If he's there,
he can't get open.
He is open. Not every time, but he's at least open more than what Dez is throwing to. At least a couple of 5 yards.
Eagles with Malcolm Jenkins. I don't know, bro. I don't know. This wasn't a Jason Witten game.
Well, no, because he had 1 target. I'm not saying he was going to change the game here, but I'm saying that if you're going to target this man for 1 time, this is a problem. And then you got Cole Beasley, who has 2 catches for 7 yards. No getting in Ryan Switzer, like you said, which I think should be used more often. It's baffling to me.
And how many times do they throw that where it's just like right off the bat, they just throw it to Dez? And like maybe back in the day he could stiff arm, but give credit to the Eagles. They took him down every single time.
Yeah, it was like a short, like
no, he just turns around and they give it to him right off the snap.
Yeah, he used to be good at that.
He used to be good at that, like breaking that for at least 10, 15, breaking that first tackle every single time they did that play. The biggest gain I think he had was like 4 yards, but most of the time the Eagles would just tackle him right away.
His longest catch today was 17 yards, which you would think would be longer if he had 14 targets.
And that was in garbage time. That was that post.
Yeah, that was that one throw. Yeah, I remember that. That's awful. So terrible receiving threat for the Cowboys, spreading it around for the Eagles.
Defensively for the Cowboys, I thought DeMarcus Lawrence played well. He had 5 tackles, tackle for loss, pass deflection. I thought he played well against the run for the most part. He was manhandling Johnson in the first half. Second half, he had a couple opportunities to sack Carson Wentz, as did a lot of the other players, but they weren't able to get him down. Anthony Hitchens was in there a lot at linebacker because Sean Lee was out. He was okay. Byron Jones, I thought, was one of their standout players. He had a big responsibility on Zach Ertz. Who else here? I thought a couple of your corners didn't play too bad. The younger guys were okay. And that's kind of it, I guess, that really stood out. I don't think David Irving was really around today. I didn't really notice him very much. For the Eagles, Ronald Darby, obviously big game back, had a nice game. Actually led the team in tackles. So you could say that's good. You could say that's not good. I don't know. Malcolm Jenkins had 2 pass deflections and 4 tackles. Brandon Graham had another good game with a sack, tackle for loss, 4 tackles as well. Barnett led the way with 2 sacks. And yeah, Fletcher Cox was kind of quiet though. Didn't hear a lot from him, but he's always kind of making plays where he doesn't necessarily show up on the stat line. And that's pretty much it that I'm going to bring up. And of course, is it Grugier Hill? Is that how you pronounce his name? Gruger? Okay. Yeah. So he was the kicker for the Eagles in this game.
Yeah. And he kicked into the end zone. And
I was saying on Twitter, I was like, what's the point of even having a kicker in this NFL? Like, you just have these random guys that kick like once a year and they're like kicking in the end zone. Like, it would be more entertaining if just skilled players were kickers. Anyways.
Both teams have had that happen too, because we had Jeff Heath as a kicker for a week.
Yeah. No, defensively, I can't say enough. I've talked about it multiple times of how much I like this defense. We get everyone through. And I want to say this was Derek Barnett's best game, in my opinion. He's been coming on of late. Like, they didn't play him at all in the first 5 games. Now they're kind of putting him in the rotation. I think Nigel Bradham is very underrated, and he's had to do a lot with Hicks being out. And Michael Kendricks, who looked like we were going to trade at the beginning of the season, now is probably our best nickel linebacker because he's so quick. He can do a lot of things. The defensive backs, like Darby had 8 tackles, but all those tackles were huge. I think what's key with the Eagles, and if you look at other different teams, is like, it's so basic, but the best teams in the league tackle well. And the Eagles have not been missing tackles like they did last year. Everyone's buying in, everyone's making plays. And defensively, I think they're putting so much pressure that these DBs are figuring out how to play, and they're not giving the receivers time to get open. And like, Ronald Darby came back, played well. Patrick Robinson I don't know what happened to him before, but he's playing like a very good caliber player. And I can't say enough about Jalen Mills, 7th round draft pick last year, and now look at him. He's going against some of the best receivers in the league and doing well. And I think now Darby kind of is going to take that spot, and Jalen Mills is going to be even better going against another outside number 2 receiver.
Yeah, it was a good production from the Eagles. Darby coming back is a huge factor for them. I brought it up earlier in the year that they needed somebody like this because I thought one of their weaknesses was the cornerback position. Of course, they got a lot better as it went on. So that's good for the Eagles that they got that position. Mills, very solid as well. Barnett, who we talked about in the draft video, I wasn't as high on, but I give credit where credit's due. He got 2 sacks. He has been playing very well so far, and I like the production that I've seen out of him. Kendricks played a good game as well, so there were some standouts for the Eagles. For the Cowboys, Lawrence played a good first half. Second half wasn't able to sack Wentz, and that was a key. Hitchens played all right. Byron Jones, as Mitch brought up, was a good player. It kind of came down to just not being able to tackle in the second half, because there's times where it's 3rd down, you got a little bit of pressure, you need to get the big sack, or you need to stop the receiver from getting a completion on 3rd and 4. 3rd and 1, I'm okay if it's a first down. I'd like to get the stop, but it's not going to be a killer. But when it's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, something like that, you got pressure on the QB. You got to tackle Wentz. You got to sack him. You got to get a nice stop to the receiver if it's a 2 or 3 yard pass. And we weren't able to do that. And that was a key in the second half that kind of screwed us over in the long run. So tackling it is an issue. And that second half really reminded me of the 23-team Cowboys, who gave up almost the most amount of points in NFL history. I'm not saying that they're the same, but it was bad. It was really bad.
Okay, let's get to the comments. All right.
Yay.
First off.
Can't wait.
I would like to thank all the people that watched our live stream with the Rams and Vikings. We got 40 subscribers from that video. So thank you. If you're new, make sure you're in the comments talking about your team or this game, whatever you want to talk about. So Training Solutions is in there. He says first. He says fly, Eagles, fly. Rob says dilly dilly. Dilly needs some liquor. Yes, Training Solutions says I was scared going into the half. AC.
Yeah, no, I think he said 2. Yeah, I think I was thinking the same thing. I knew there was a lot of football left, but yeah, it was one of those things. It's better to see a stinker in the first half, though. I'm starting to get, because we had it against San Francisco as well, and kind of did the same thing against San Francisco as we did Dallas. Like, we didn't play very good in the first half, and you know, as long as you don't have a stinker all the way through, this team's going to be all right.
What else? Percentage chance that the Ravens are the AFC 6th seed, asked Rob.
70%.
You know what's funny is now the media. You know what's funny is the media here, like Tony Dungy's, now they start believing in the Chargers. Now they start believing in the Chargers.
No,
Chargers are making the 6th.
They're not making the offs. Nope.
We'll see.
Story.
Ravens.
I think the Ravens, they're coming together at the right time. I think they have a good defense.
I agree, though. The Ravens would be the other team. I don't think there's anyone else. I don't think it's the Bengals. I don't think it's the Raiders.
No.
I don't think it's the Broncos. So I think, or the Bills, I should say.
Not after today.
I don't know why Peterman.
That's okay. Come on, that's a dumb head decision. That's strictly to get rid of Tyrod Taylor, and it's dumb. And Tyrod Taylor's on the sidelines. So you are dumb people up there for making that decision. So he's gonna make more money.
Remember when we were talking about Week 6 when we were just like, what? Whoa, the AFC East is actually probably the best division in football.
And then they all collapse.
They all just collapse in front of everybody.
Classic AFC East. Training Solution says Dallas, Seattle are DUNE.
My answer to that question is probably. Still hoping for a wild card, if anything. Lose to the Chargers, and it's officially DUNE. Win against the Chargers, you got a chance at the 6th seed.
Rob says Factor Fiction. Ken Norton Jr. is fired tomorrow.
No. I don't think we're going to see any firings for a while.
Arian says he was here to enjoy a nice dilly rant.
You got one.
Derek Mullaney, the coach, says Eagles kick our ass.
Yep.
Eagles show no weakness. Dallas has no depth. Totally out-coached, out-executed, but most disappointing to me was the emotion. Passion was not there. All Philly was well-deserved.
Coach spitting facts right there.
Rob says percentage chance the Chargers beat the cow shits on Turkey Day. 100%.
I wouldn't go like just without because I know you guys you like the Chargers, Mitch. Obviously Dallas. Just my own opinion, where I'm kind of in limbo. I would say 65.
Really? Okay.
But Chargers.
I'm gonna hope that Tyron Smith is back. So I will add your chances to 40%.
Bro, if he's not back, man,
it's gonna be fucking awful with Melvin Ingram and Joey
Bosa. Oh my god!
Understand, that wasn't their problem today. I don't think that's their their problem.
Those two guys, I think, are gonna be even worse if we're playing against. I
don't know. I think you're discrediting that Eagles defensive line by saying that.
AC, you have to watch these guys play, man.
No, I do. I've seen them play, and also it's a different.
Have you watched the game, bro?
Yeah. No, seriously,
the game?
But did they switch to a 4-3 or they're still 3-4?
They're 4-3. Yeah.
Oh, so they switched to 4. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
so
I'm always used to Chargers just being a 3-4 team.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I always have to change them to a 4-3 team when I move them. Well, not this year's Madden, but last year's Madden, because Chargers are the
Bosa and Ingram are on the outside, and I think it's like Mebane and Legit are in the inside.
Oh, okay.
Coach also says Chargers are better than their record and will beat Dallas. Garrett has to go.
Coach, can't spit those facts. That ain't facts, B. Come on, man.
Clark says Cowboys are done. Sorry, Dylan, Jason Garrett, and his ass-kissing associates need to be dusted out the door.
I agree on that second part. I don't know about the first part.
Jacob says Sean Lee plus Tyron Smith are bigger losses than Zeke, to be honest.
I mean, it's kind of hard to say, but in these first 2 games, we felt the effects of Sean Lee and Tyron Smith way more than Zeke. So.
Maybe. Their offense hasn't been good.
No.
I think because of Zeke. I think your defense still can stop.
I know Zeke is obviously a key factor.
You've had Tyron Smith injured before, and you've been able to get over it because you've had a run game. That's my opinion.
Yeah, but you saw those stats. They weren't even that great against that. Obviously, Zeke is a big loss, but I think the combination of those two hurts us a lot. I don't know.
All right. I think Sean Lee is a big loss, but like in the first half, it didn't seem to be. Rob says Dak should target Jason Witten more. So he agrees on that. Clark says Eagles are going to the NFC Championship if they keep going at this pace. AC, do you believe the Eagles can reach the Super Bowl?
1 week at a time.
Yeah, 1 week at a time. But
here we go with this.
No. Right now, I think we can. I think if we do get a first-round bye and get to play at home, I think it's very reasonable to think that we'll have a better chance than anyone in the NFC. There's some good teams, but there's still a lot of football to be played to really know about these teams. The Eagles are the only team still not to have a stinker, but you got to start thinking about the Saints because they've won so many games in a row. They only lost their first 2, and then
who do the Eagles have left to play?
We go Bears, then we go Seattle, then we go Rams, and then we go Oakland, Dallas. No, Giants. We go Giants before Raiders, but we have 3 road games in a row. But it should be fun because I think next week is a good game. Seattle, we'll see. I'll know more about the Seattle Eagles game tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
I think we'll all know a lot
I
more.
think the Seahawks are done.
No, but I'm just saying we'll all we could say that right now.
I think they're French
somewhat
toast.
think that, but we'll know a lot about this Seahawks team tomorrow. Because I think the downfall of the Seahawks plus the injuries is the Redskins went into a place that's pretty much impossible to win and did. So I think that gives a lot. I think they've lost that mojo with that stat now with the Redskins. Say what you want. They're playing better now, but still the Redskins went into Seattle and beat the Seattle Seahawks. And the Redskins had a losing record at the time.
And also the fact that Russell Wilson has 82.1% of their plays, like their yards and everything.
And also the fact that the Redskins had like their 4th string offensive line in that game, but that's just me.
Hey, they almost beat the Saints. Holy shit. I mean, I don't know.
Coach says Eagles versus Vikings NFC Championship and Patriots versus Pittsburgh in the AFC.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
He also says Philadelphia will make the Super Bowl. Favorites to win the Super Bowl as of today.
Yeah, I'd also agree on that.
No, each week I'm even a person in my power rankings that I'd still have the Pats up there because you can't – what the Pats are doing right now is still impressive. I think – what the Pats don't get enough credit for is they do it every single year. So a lot of people like the way the Eagles are winning and like that. But I do still think that the Patriots are definitely the favorites and should be.
You just want to put someone else as the favorite. I see.
No,
I see
but obviously it is.
It's a political answer.
Wouldn't you say the Patriots are more favored than the Eagles to win the Super Bowl?
I think it's.
Come on.
I think it's more likely.
It's because of the Patriots of the last 15.
But it's because of the unknown factor of the Eagles.
Yes, exactly.
The only.
But the one thing I'll say is people want to say that Carson Wentz hasn't played in big games. Well, it might have been lesser talent, but he did win 2 national championships in a row.
FCS talent, baby.
FCS. Hey, there's a lot of good FCS players, man.
Sea chickens aren't going anywhere. The Legion of Boom is hurt, says Rob.
They're not. They can't do shit without any of them.
Peterman was awful, says Training Solutions.
Yep. The Bills' whole offense needs to be fired. I'm sorry.
Factor Fiction. Paxton Lynch starts for the Broncos next Sunday. Well, the Broncos should have won the game today, but Brock Osweiler threw a 99-yard interception.
Yeah, that was brutal.
That was awful. Just awful. No, because Paxton Lynch also sucks. So it's like replacing shit with.
But we don't really know.
Yeah, I think he should be given the chance. They're 3-7 now.
3-7. Yeah.
He should be given the chance for sure. Factor Fiction 8-8 wins the AFC West. If that's
Considering
the
the
case,
Chiefs
Chargers
lost-
are winning it.
Well, Chiefs have lost 4 of their last 5, correct?
Yeah.
Is that
Yep,
the?
yep.
That's
Who
awful.
do the Chiefs play?
Who do they play?
I think I would say that 10 wins it.
Okay.
No, I'd say 9 and 7. I'm starting to think a little lower.
Really? Okay.
Okay, so the Chiefs play the Bills. Here's the schedule. Chiefs play the Bills next week. Then they play the Jets, Raiders, Chargers, Dolphins, and Broncos.
It's not a tough schedule, but
No,
Not a very
really.
tough.
the way
schedule.
that they're playing right now,
Well, yeah,
they
they
just
just lost
lost to
the
the
Giants.
Giants, so they can lose to anyone.
Yeah,
They
it's like-
should beat the Bills because they're at home. The Jets in New York won't be easy, considering they just lost in the same stadium.
Raiders. I
The
think
Chargers and Raiders
Come on,
games.
let's
will be challenging.
can we go get off the Jets bandwagon now? It's not happening. The Jets are the Jets.
Well, I'm just saying the Giants just beat them.
No, I understand that, but I'm just also saying Tampa Bay beat the Jets.
Tampa
Sure.
Bay.
But I mean, the Jets have 4 wins. It's not the worst.
No, I know, but they've also
So do
they
the
just
Raiders.
lost-
So do the Chargers. So do the
They
Dolphins.
they wildly beat my expectations, considering I put them at 1-15 this season. So.
But the thing about the Jets is they try every week. Like they
Yeah.
they are
No,
there
their
to
defense
play
is better.
every week.
and you
I'm
never
not
know.
saying
I'm not-
that they're going to win. I'd still pick the Chiefs, but there's a chance. They lost to the Raiders already. They play them at home, though. They should win that. They play the Chargers at home. They play the Dolphins at home, and then they play the Broncos on the road.
I think they can get probably 4 of those safely if I had to put it right now. So I'm going to put their record at 10-6. I think that'll win the division. That's
Yeah,
just,
I would say 10. I would say 10 wins probably for the AFC West.
I mean, I know they lost to the Giants, but that ain't going to happen every week. I don't know.
AC, do you think we should fire Deuce Staley? I think it's time.
No, so Deuce Staley's the running back coach. I don't, he doesn't really
I would
matter.
think so.
Like he's never really had the talent, and he's been there for 3 coaches. He was hired by Andy Reid, Chip Kelly kept him, and Doug Pearson kept him. So he must be a guy that's liked, and I don't think he's been a problem. Like the running backs aren't doing well because if you think about it, he's coached some decent running backs since he's been there, and I think he's a legend in Philadelphia, and people must like him because 3 coaches, or he started with Andy Reid and then 2 coaches have kept him around, and he's been like the only coach that's been kept around since 2013. So I don't think so. Maybe eventually they just part ways, but there's no need to fire him because he's never been an issue.
Rob says Lakers win. Yes, triple-double for Lonzo. See, one bad, terrible game, then he has a good game. Good shit.
If you're playing against a team that gets and the opposing point guard gets 16 rebounds, you're not playing against a very good team.
Who the Lakers play this?
Denver.
Nuggets.
Denver's not as good as you guys thought they were going to be. They're brutal this year.
I didn't
They got
have them making the
146 points
playoffs.
against they got 146 against the Pelicans, though. I don't know. I don't think they're good. I don't think they're that good.
I don't think
They
they're.
said they were better than the Blazers.
I don't
man.
think they're good, but I don't think they're bad.
Dylan said they were better than the Blazers.
Who?
That's true.
You did.
No. What team? I didn't hear you.
The Blazers.
No, but what team did I say was better than the Blazers?
Denver. Yeah.
Yeah, that was preseason. I got to give credit to where the Blazers.
So do you apologize?
Yes.
Okay, I accept it.
Philly
But
Bird says
Portland has played good, I'll give you that.
EAGLES Eagles. Rob says use the Witten.
Yes.
Clark says Witten needs to retire. Jeremy says Canadians arguing. Jacob says LOL Mitch chill. Witten leads the team in receptions for a reason. Well, if he leads the team in receptions, they stink. Okay.
I think he's gotten probably 6
How about
receptions
that?
in the last 3 games. That's fucking awful. So I don't know.
Fact or fiction? Jameis Winston is placed on season-ending IR.
Why not? They're not making the playoffs.
They've won 2 in a row.
Fam, they're not making the playoffs. They're not making it with especially that division. Nope.
Jeremy said LaAngelo is leading the league in steals.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was a good
Donald
one.
Trump roasted them today. I was like, oh my god.
That is like the
Just-
most bizarre thing ever. Like
What? Who am I supposed to cheer?
Lonzo, LeVar did it on purpose because he knew a president would actually respond to LeVar Ball. Like now LeVar is probably bigger than ever. Like LeVar is going to be in like
I'm MJ. I'm gonna be MJ.
He's like in the
I'm going to be the president in 2020.
He's like in history books now. Like if a president of the United States, like some NBA player's dad calls out the president and the president responds directly, not just like a press conference being like there are people that are upset or blah blah, like actually calls out LeVar Ball. Like
it's just like, who am I supposed to cheer for?
WrestleMania, LeVar versus Donald Trump, and Donald Trump's still in office.
Get him. Yeah. Now, who am I supposed to cheer for? The president or LeVar? Because I hate both of them.
LeVar.
This is the word. At least LeVar has some qualities. I'll give it.
Coach says, screw stats, blowout. Cowboys need more creativity without Zeke. Coach's adjustments, Garrett and his staff should all be gone.
This should be the game that the Cowboys fired Wade Phillips 7 years ago. It was Sunday Night Football against the Packers, and they fired him right after that game. It should be the exact same way, but it ain't gonna.
Garrett knows too much, man. Garrett knows too much.
No, he's buddies with.
Garrett knows too much about Jerry. I guarantee it.
He's buddies with Jerry anyways, so they're not gonna get fired. And especially with whatever
you gotta like pay him off to leave.
King Voodoo says, "How about them Saints?"
Yeah, that was an impressive win.
It was a nice comeback. I did enjoy that.
The defense, and it was lucky that their offense played well because their defense probably had their worst game in the last four or five.
Marshawn Lattimore better be healthy. If you're going farther down the line for the Saints, he better be healthy.
Jollywood says, "Hey everyone, congrats on everyone's win. And Eagles destroyed the Cowboys, but I'm nervous on Monday." He's the Seahawks fan.
Yeah, it should be.
Jeremy says, "Guys making Thanksgiving picks." Yeah, we will be. As far as like, we'll do like a day recap probably for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, probably.
Rob says maybe the NFL should replace the kickoff with the XFL opening scramble.
You know how many people will get injured in that process? Somebody broke their arm during one of those scrambles.
The very first one, wasn't it?
I was in one of the first games. I think I did see a video. John Boyce, go check it out. Kickoff should be there should be a different system for kickoffs.
No, I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. It's like if you don't want to run it out, you don't have to. It's like it should still be part of the game.
Did you watch the video? Like, I'm just asking. Did you watch the game, bro?
Did you even watch the video?
Did you even watch it?
What video? Is it just like a YouTube video?
Yeah, it's from John Boyce, who's like one of the better like sports guys out there, and it's called Kickoffs Are Bad.
I've never heard of that guy in my life.
Hey, check him out. He's actually pretty good. It's called Kickoffs Are Bad and Stupid.
He's a liar.
He's a liar.
I like kickoffs. I think there's a strategy.
I like kickoffs too. I do, and especially with the Patriots, like kick to make sure people return it, because most of these kickers can just kick.
I was actually gonna make a video on that, AC.
Yeah,
I was thinking about it.
No, because it's key, right? Because that's the special teams. Like, okay, let's try to just pin them before the 25 and kick a nice high sky kick, like in Madden. You know?
Yeah.
Run down there, make a big tackle, get the ball back.
Hit the hit stick. All right.
The hit stick.
Jeremy says, I wasn't worried. Wentz is like the modern day Aaron Rodgers, even though Aaron Rodgers still plays.
Aaron Rodgers still playing.
How that like really works.
But is he ever going to play again? Maybe not.
Yeah, that collarbone's going to take him out for life. NWO for life.
What's your reaction to Giants versus Chiefs? The Chiefs stink.
Yeah, the Chiefs have been down. I got off the Chiefs bandwagon probably 5 weeks ago.
We all jumped overboard after the Raiders game.
Predator asked Dylan, you think Jerry Jones will sue the NFL for a playoff spot?
Fam, I don't even like Jerry Jones. Like, the fact that this guy owns our organization and has made us a laughingstock is pitiful. And he wants this thing with Goodell, and the owners want him to sell the team. Just go fucking get it over with. That's all I ask. Just get it done. I don't care what happens.
Jeremy says, Saints versus Eagles, Steelers versus Patriots in the championships.
Yeah,
could also happen. You never know.
Jeremy,
let's just say that.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
wonder with the remaining schedule. I haven't really looked at it, but between Minnesota and Saints, who do you think has a better shot of getting this? Like, let's just say
Minnesota
the Eagles,
has
there's a lot of football, but the
really
Eagles
tough
obviously are looking like that to be the first seed. But who gets the second, so they don't have to play?
Vikings have, like Mitch said, a very difficult next 3 games because we were checking that game.
Yeah, it's like all on the road, and it's like Carolina, Atlanta, and
the
Detroit.
Lions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that is tough.
Yeah, Lions start off on Thanksgiving, then the Falcons, and then the Panthers. So if they win if they even win 2 of those 3, I think they'll be in the second spot.
Yeah, true.
Jeremy says, I think the Eagles lack the superstar player.
All right, they're 9-1. I don't really know if that needs to be addressed.
No. Well, it's true. Like we don't have, but that's just gonna come, right? Like,
yeah, he's played.
Yeah, it's only his second year, right? So hopefully, regardless of what happens this year, and say if we do get a first round bye, I don't even care if we win the Super Bowl. But as long as we play well next year and don't do what the Cowboys did this year, I'll be happy.
I'm starting to think that Jollywood really is Kev, because he said Chiefs need to start Patrick Mahomes.
Maybe it is Kev Jollywood.
Hey, it has Kevnar. I mean, it has it in.
Have they ever been in the same room?
It's the Seattle. Yeah, never know, bro. And then what he'll say is like, oh, it's not me because he makes fun of me. They're like, well, now you're trying to throw us off. So yeah. We might have to address this later on. Let's see here.
Anyone ever watch the NFL Lingerie Football League?
The LFL? I've seen some stuff, but I don't keep track of the stats or anything.
I know Summer Rae was in it.
I've seen some videos for sure.
Is that like what it was on, like MTV or some shit like that? I don't remember what it was on, but I've seen.
Oh no, it's still played.
Yeah, I just don't remember like what I've seen.
Yeah, I think it's just on you. Like I just saw stuff on YouTube.
Yeah. What else we got?
I don't keep up with the stats.
Bodo says Minnesota will win because the rest of the teams suck. And Bodo is ripping into my Pats on Twitter today.
Okay, no, Bodo, explain to me this, right? So there was a stat that I saw that Mitch replied to of Mr. Bodo. That was the last 5 games of the amount of points that the Patriots put up. And then he goes, well, the Patriots are the most overrated defense. How is that?
You know what? I want to respond to that. The Steelers are the most overrated offense. How about that?
How does that even make logical sense? The last 3 games the last 5 games they played, ever since that catastrophe, so they give up 14 against the Bucs, 17 against the Jets, 7 against the Falcons, 13 against the Chargers, 16 against the Broncos, and 8 against the Raiders. And you're going to tell me their defense is overrated over that stat? That's asinine. Get out of here. It's dumb. I'm not even a Patriots fan.
Who even says that they're like great? Like
they were never the top 1 like to begin with. We ripped the shit out of them the first 4 weeks.
They were the worst defense in the league the first 4 weeks of the
and then
season.
they've gotten a lot better. I'm not gonna put them near the elite, no. But I mean, we're gonna give credit when credit's due. They've actually played a lot better. So to say that they haven't played well is asinine, especially after giving that stat.
All right, and Predator says over the wall with Bodo. Jessis says thoughts of the rest of the season for the Chiefs.
They've got to win some games. The fact that they've lost 4 of their last 5 is concerning, considering they were at one point available to get the top spot. You lost to the fucking Giants. Like, come on, bro. That's a Vince Russo. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Jesus, bro. You're playing the Bills, so I think you'll get the win. But the rest of the way, if you don't pick up these easy victories, and then you're gonna expect me to believe you're gonna be a threat in the AFC, come on, bro. Come on, bro. No. They cooled off. And that's what it is.
Chris, we'll end with this question. Chris Helms, not Gregory, says Cowboys will get the wild card spot. Yes or no?
They're still in the race for it. I'm not going to bet on any money on it. I will feel better about it if we beat the Chargers. If we lose like I said earlier in this video, if we lose against the Chargers, we're done. D-U-N-E, done. If we beat the Chargers, 6-5, 5 games to go, you have a chance. You definitely have a chance.
And we'll give you a free win week 17 when we're resting everyone.
Okay, so that's 2 wins. Thank you, AC. Appreciate it. You'll be helping my bill. So, what's the rest of the schedule the way through? You play the Redskins one more time, play the Giants one more time.
Chargers.
Yeah, Chargers. So there's 4 games. Beat the Chargers. Got a chance.
I'll say this: if Atlanta wins tomorrow, the Cowboys are not making the playoffs.
Damn, then I gotta change my pick. God damn.
Go Seahawks.
No, I don't want
Seahawks.
to.
They win.
Seahawks. They're garbage. Oh wait.
AC, is that all you're gonna say? Is if the Falcons win tomorrow, the Cowboys aren't gonna make it?
Yeah, no. Like I feel bad for some things, and I feel bad for Cowboys fans because their team is owned by Jerry Jones, and their number one fan is Skip Bayless because, obviously we're big rivals.
I don't even like Skip.
But I think a lot of other stuff makes people, especially me, hate the Cowboys more than I should.
That's how the media.
I don't care too much because I guess we've played in some big games, but like my McNabb days, Cowboys weren't all there. And then even when we were so, like Vic was good and those years were good, but they still weren't like top. Obviously, I feel like the Cowboys were a bit better those good Tony Romo years. But I thought this year, if you look at the start of the schedule, I'm like, this is going to be a game. This is going to be like Cowboys are going to be like 6-3 or something, and maybe the Eagles are going to be around the same, and this is going to be a great game. And it's too bad we didn't get to see it. And I'd like to beat them with Zeke, so eventually that will happen. But we'll see what happens
next season.
Yeah, hopefully. I just don't know. Their offense looks so bad, even against Atlanta. I don't know if they can do that, and they still have 4 more games to go without Zeke.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that they're DUNE. I'm sorry, Dilly.
I will answer.
Well, I didn't pick them to make the playoffs before the year. So
I will answer.
I'm just sticking with my answer before the year.
Hey, here's the thing. I don't think we're gonna make it far in the playoffs, anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. If we get in the wild card, we're gonna have to play the number 3 team, which is either gonna be the Vikings or the Saints. And I'd rather play death than play either of those 2 games. So
you never know.
I mean, you never know, but it's like walking into like the frozen tundra. Like I don't know. I don't want to.
Oh yeah, if Aaron Rodgers comes back.
Fucking hell.
Okay.
No.
My 2 teams right now that I have going for that 6th spot because the Panthers are in for me. Is Detroit and Atlanta. I think those are the 2 because Detroit has a really easy schedule.
Yeah, I like Detroit.
Even though I think that they're worse than those teams, I think that they have a really easy schedule, and I think Atlanta is the team that's kind of starting to get it together right now. And the Seahawks losing all their players, Cowboys losing their players, is just the way of the NFL season. So those are my 2 teams to watch out for. This was your Eagles Cowboys Week 11 Sunday Night Football recap. If you enjoyed, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more NFL. We'll be looking to do more live reaction videos, hopefully like 1 a week because it was very successful. Thanks, guys, for tuning into that. Thanks for tuning into this recap. A lot of viewers throughout the whole thing, so thanks. And subscribe to our NHL channel. I always want to give you a reminder in the description, BLV NHL. Go subscribe to them. They've been working hard these past couple of days to get some NHL content and recaps out for you guys. So go subscribe to Fitty Trent and the boys over there at BLV NHL. Mitch, Dylan, AC, have a nice night. Peace out.
Peace.